first, let me just say thank you for having me back again. It's good to be with you all. And let me tell you about a gift that I received some years ago. It was an old kerosene lamp. And it came with a card that read, "This lamp lit the way for Tommy when he had to go out to the barn to take care of the cows." So Tommy was a hospice patient of mine who grew up on a farm in Vermont where they didn't get electricity until he was in college. And this lamp had great significance for him. His early days caring for the cows and the horses instilled a love of nature. And some of his happiest days were spent walking the grounds of that farm. He went on after college to become a teacher, a science teacher. I had originally met Tommy not because he was a hospice patient, but because his neighbor across the hall from him was. He and his wife, Ellen, had been moved into a nursing home. And they had to move there when they could no longer stay in their assisted living apartment. Both were now in wheelchairs. And Tommy because of Parkinson's disease, and Ellen because of a stroke that she had had. And by the way, Ellen was also a teacher, or had been a teacher. She had authored several educational books. So these two remarkable people remained teachers until their last breath, as far as I'm concerned. Because not only did they teach me about dignity and commitment, courage, and love, but they taught basically everyone or anyone who came into contact with them. I mean, it was rare not to find them sitting quietly out in the hall, holding hands. I mean, that's how I met them, because you see someone like that, I would strike up a conversation. Usually in nursing homes, I always would try, because people oftentimes are parked in the halls. And I always try to make contact, because we're people, and we need to see each other as people. And so when I would look at someone, it would be, "I see you." And they saw me right back. And we would have conversations. So that probably went on for probably about a year or so. And we had a lot of conversations. When Tommy's condition started to deteriorate, he was admitted to hospice. And they requested me as being part of the care team. So I was assigned to him. But let me get back to the lamp for a minute. So when Tommy and Ellen had to leave their apartment to go to the nursing home, they had to leave practically everything. You don't move all your belongings into one of those places. So they only could take a few things. They brought a couple of special books and some old family photos. And they brought the kerosene lamp. So, of course, I was really moved that Tommy would wish for me to have this lamp. I mean, to me, there was kind of an implicit message that came with this gift. As a matter of fact, when I first took the lamp in my hands, I heard words in my head that said, "Bring light." And at that time, I had just finished seminary. So the message seemed appropriate, but don't get me wrong, because bringing light out into the world isn't reserved for those who have gone to seminary, and sometimes they don't do such a good job. We are all given this task. In Judaism, Tikkun Olam, a Jewish teaching that says we are here to help heal a broken world. Emerson said, "The light which we see in this world comes out from the soul of the observer." So I've been blessed by the presence of many people who have shown up in my life at a dark or crucial time and made a difference, giving me hope or support or new light to see by. So in the Gospel of Matthew, I don't normally quote from the Gospel a whole lot, as you guys probably know, but I'm always struck by certain things that I find there. In Matthew, Jesus instructs his followers, "You are the light of the world." They and not him, although he has also referred to himself this way. But he's telling them, and he's telling us. So, what does it mean then to be the light? I mean, well, yeah, we know we need light to see by. But if you are the light, what do you want people to see in you? Or see by you? Kindness, patience, compassion, honesty, generosity, mercy, welcome. Any one of these will certainly transmit some light, and the more you put together, the greater the light's going to be. So I'm a lucky guy in a lot of ways. And I think the older I get, the more I realize that. I say thank you a lot. I've had the great good fortune to have worked with some remarkably kind and caring people. And I've told this story I'm about to tell you many times, so you've probably heard it before, but as my wife always says, a good thing is worth repeating. And it's good she feels that way because she lives with me, and I repeat things a lot. Anyway, I've told this story many times, but in truth, it's one of many such things I've witnessed, not only in my hospice years, but in truth, I still see in these times as well. Because there is a great deal of kindness in the world, despite what often gets all the attention. Remarkable acts of kindness. Anyway, one day I was visiting a nursing home and sitting with a man who was dying. He was comfortable and non-responsive. His family was not able to be there. So I had offered to go and sit. Vigil, they call it. He was in a nursing home. He had a roommate. The curtain was closed, so he had some privacy. Well, anyway, while I'm there and I'm sitting quietly, it's very peaceful, one of the aides comes in to attend to the other patient. So I'm sitting there very, very quietly as this aide begins to draw the curtain and starts to attend to the man. And she spoke to him in such a respectfully tender and kind way, it brought tears to my eyes just hearing it. Later that day, I saw her out at the nurse's station, and I made a point of going over and just telling her that I was sitting there, and I had been in the room, and I was touched by the caring that she offered. She almost seemed embarrassed when I told her this, telling me that she's not always that way. She said to me, she says, "Just ask my kids." So I said, "Well, you were that way then?" And she said, "Yeah, I was. He's a sweet man." I said, "Well," I want you to know that not only did you help that man," I said, "you helped me. Just to bask in that light that you brought into that room." And I said, and the patient I was sitting with is dying, and I said, and that kindness and that light helped him too. So I said, I just want to say thank you. You see, sometimes after being around a lot of suffering, and in case you haven't noticed, there's no shortage. But in my case, after being around a lot of suffering in some of the places I had to be, I would start to feel depleted. That day, she connected me back to the light, and I'll bet that some of the other people that I visited later that day also got a little bit of that light that she had brought in, and I had the great good fortune to bask in for a few minutes. What happens if you, stay with me here for a second. What happens if you put a plant near the window? Right? It's going to turn towards the sun. Always, always, always. It's like magic. That's what I'm talking about here. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes our light seems to go out, or we don't feel able to transmit it. That's when we need to find light in others, or in nature, or music, or art. Something. Tap into that, and we let that carry us. We simply reflect that. Edith Wharton suggests the two ways to be a positive influence in the world: to be the candle, a source of light and energy, or the mirror, which reflects and amplifies the light. I don't have to be the spotlight. Light is a remarkable thing, and I'm not going to go down that road, but, you know, at the speed of light, 188,000 miles per second, time does not exist. A photon of light, literally, if it had consciousness, that photon would perceive itself everywhere all at once. Just food for thought there. But this is where I'm going here. Last week I did a service, and I spoke about practicing awe, A-W-E, awe, as in aweism. And aweism to me is much more attractive than a lot of the other isms. At least for me, pessimism, cynicism. You can fill in what you want because there's a whole load of isms out there. So aweism to me is a good way to go. And this ties in with the light. How you practice this is simple, especially for folks like us living here in a place like Berkshire County, where nature, you can't get away from it. It's all around us. Open your eyes. But here's the thing, you have to be willing to see it, to acknowledge it, to take a moment and say thank you out loud or to yourself. Just acknowledge it. Just do it. Something will shift in you. Trust me, something will shift in you. Make it a point to see with fresh eyes. Or as the Buddhists would say, cultivate beginner's mind. You know, kids know about awe, which means everyone here knows about awe. We get trained out of it. We get conditioned. We get away from it. Anyway, one of my suggestions that will help you plug back into the power source for the light is awe. Because with awe, it kind of plugs into gratitude, and gratitude is one of those things also. Really helpful. So what I'm talking about here is really, you gotta find ways to lift your heart, to lift it back up. Pay attention to the things that do that for you. And make a point to respect those things and get a steady diet to help recharge your batteries. Because we are in challenging times, but here's the news for you all. There hasn't been a time humanity has not been in challenging times. I mean, regarding humanity, trouble seems to always find us. So as I often say, it is a hard thing to be a human being. And usually when I say this, after I give a moment for people just to reflect, I see people nodding their heads. Because you know, you're human. It's not easy. We're not perfect. So let me wrap this up for you. The chance or the opportunity to help this world become better is in each of our hands. It does not have to be something big or complicated. You don't have to do a major discovery like the cure for cancer, though that would be good if you did. But it does not have to be. Here's the deal. Start where you are and with who you are. Feed the good wolf. You all know what I'm talking about. You've all heard that story, right? Feed the good wolf. Smile. Encourage others. Thank others. Just be a little kinder every day. Just try it. You know, getting back to Tommy and Ellen, they exemplified this. I mean, Tommy's been dead, it's over 20 years now. Obviously, he's not dead to me. And even at the end of their lives, that's what I saw in these two remarkable people. And in a place like a nursing home, which is a hard place to work, and a lot of the people that work in those places are doing their best. They're overworked, they're underpaid, all kinds of things. Don't even get me going down that road. But most of the people that come into that want to do something helpful for people. And so when you have a patient like these two are, trust me, it's a shot in the arm. They remind you what really matters. Because we always forget what really matters. We get caught up in our own drama, and it's just the way it is, because that's why it's hard to be a human being. It's another reason right there. So, this idea of plugging into the things that lift your spirit. You have to pay attention and you have to be aware because, as I've said here many times, awareness is our superpower. With awareness, we can change what we're putting our attention in our direction. And that's huge. Anything you polish with attention will become a mirror. I didn't make that up, that's Maria Popova. Oh, anyway, I don't want to beat this to death, I can do that, so I'm just going to say this. Become lighter so you can bring lightness into the world. Just become lighter. It's simple, it really is. It's just not easy. So do what you can, when you can, right where you are. And regarding compassion and forgiveness and kindness, you got to start with you. Because we can't give what we don't have. And that is so key. And if I could say, one of the things I've learned spending so much time with people at the end of their lives is that is the work of a lifetime. And we deserve it. So, are you willing to give it a shot? Well, I have absolute full confidence in you, and I know you can do it, so be it. Just be it. Thank you for listening.